Hi, my name is Daniel Wellington, and one of the reasons why I'm presenting this video is to show you what I'm trying to do in regards to my transition back into the community. But before I do that, I'd just like to talk about a company that I and my eldest brother have developed. The name of the company is called Mantel CIC. The reason why we designed or registered this company was to help with my transition back into the community. And what I mean by that is I've spent some time in the judicial system, in incarceration for a crime that I didn't commit. So I was convicted of a crime that I didn't commit. I'm all for talking about that crime and so forth. In part two's video, it's important that I get part one's video out, and then we can navigate throughout on whatever information I'm going to present in further videos, should there be further videos. But the reason why I'm presenting this information today is to talk about the difficulties that I, as a black man and black man, have experienced within the criminal justice system, such as discrimination, depression, anxiety, and even just dismissed as having any level of intelligence whatsoever. Okay, so I've given you an introduction as to why I'm presenting this video. So I'm going to talk about one's difficulties in regards to transition back in the community. I found that upon release from prison, I found that during my transition back into the community, there wasn't any services set up for black people to re-engage back into the system. And when I mean re-engage or services, I mean there were services for mainstream, let's go with the word, coloured or Caucasian people to slot into systems to get a level of support. In other words, I'm coming from a different kind of cultural background in their eyes, and so I should be able to adapt to their system. In other words, if there's fish and chips on the menu, I should be able to adapt to eating fish and chips, and it doesn't matter whether the fish and chips makes me feel sick or not. This is what you need to abide by. I'm not that guy in it. I don't swallow fish and chips or mushy peas and pie. I'm not that kind of guy. So that's just an insight to the difficulty I have, and I would imagine other black people have, in regards to transition back into the community. All right. The point I'm going to make, the major point I'm going to make now, is the IPP sentence. It's actually ISPP sentence, but everyone knows it as IPP sentence. The Guardian today put an article out that David Blunkett in 2005 to 2012 owned that he made a mistake in agreeing that the criminal justice system should imply this ISPP sentence within the judicial system. This sentence is not only unlawful, but they're still managing or directing or engaging with prisoners today, even though the sentence has been abolished since 2012. So what does that mean for someone like me? I'm an IPP ex-offender, and so when I go to probation, they deal with me as an IPP ex-offender. What that means is I'm on license for life. When in fact, when David Blunkett and the Labour Party brought this sentence in, you're only supposed to be on a 10-year license, not for life. So already Labour and the Conservative Party are engaged in an unlawful sentence, and so they're oppressing people. That's point one. Point two is, to date, 97% of the people who were given that sentence between 2005 to 2012 are still there today. So that means those that were given 28 days sentence, 2-month sentence, 4-year sentence are still there today. So how comes, you might be saying, well, what's he saying then? I thought he was an IPP ex-offender. You're right, I am an IPP ex-offender. I was one of the 3% that managed to navigate their way out of that system. How did I do it? My first answer would be God. And the second one would be God strategically places intelligent, intellectual people in my path to get me out of that system. So that's how I've come to be out here today. Let's not get it twisted. I have a level of intelligence myself. So I'll take a little bit of clause for that. So my point being, to date, within the last year, I've engaged in a solicitors. I'm not going to call the solicitor's name at this time. I possibly will at a later date to appeal this case. As I said, I was convicted of this case, so I went not guilty and I was found guilty, for those who don't understand conviction, title, label and so forth. So we have tried to ascertain the paperwork from the CPS, and the CPS have come up with various hurdles like, how do we know it's you? So I've sent them my passport details, my driving license, and my NHS NI number. And to date, they've still said that the information that I've sent them doesn't seem to prove who you are. So it sounds like, unless I reoffend, that's the only way they're going to believe that I'm actually Daniel Wellington. And so I've instructed my MP and my legal omnibus person to give evidence that I am who I say I am, in order to ascertain my papers, so I can then formulate my statement as to appeal against this case. But the CPS are the CPS. They're one of the most biggest institutes. I was going to say corrupt institutes, but we won't go with that. They're one of the biggest institutes in the land, and they have a way of allowing who can appeal and who cannot appeal and so forth. If you call upon the M25 case where these offenders were in prison for so long, and one of their hurdles they had to get over was they needed to wait for their papers to come in order for them to be able to appeal. It seems that I might be in that same sort of game that they're playing, or maybe not. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So my point is, why am I devising this video? To expose the corruption that's been ongoing since 2012. Not only does the Labour Party and the Conservative Party agree that this is an unlawful sentence, but you're still managing people with that sentence today. And so, how does that affect me as someone who's trying to re-establish themselves back in the community? Well, it just so happens that I've met people that encourage me to think outside the box. Hence, this is why I'm doing this video today. And so if I carry on talking about this, as I will do, I intend to, hopefully I'll come across the right professional organisations who in turn will support me in ascertaining the paperwork from the CPS so I can devise my appeal against this sentence. Just to finish off this video, because I don't want to harp on too much, so to speak, because this is just like a test sort of video for the presentation, but it is to bring things to light. When one was found guilty during this sentence, in a London Crown Court, one of the statements that I remember from the judge was saying that you've been tried by the jury of your peers. Well, we all know when it comes to filling out what's the name of that form when you fill out the form, black, white, Asian, and sorry, the ethnicity and so forth. If they have their ethnicity forms and so forth for all other organisations and institutes, how come they don't have them within the criminal justice system? Is it because they don't want to single you out as being a different person and so forth, and so you could be judged by anyone? So why am I bringing up this point? If a person comes to court as a juror who has no understanding about what it's like to experience being judged or even look upon their own prejudices and so forth, they in turn can just follow the clan. So I believe on another point that I wasn't judged fairly. Again, I can talk about various information in regards to what my solicitor presented at the case. I have a lot of unused material for my case that wasn't allowed in this court case at the time. As you can see, it's 600 pages plus unused material that was excluded by the judge. Why was it excluded by the judge? The judge, they don't have to give a reason. They can just scoot around law. But they let in all the police's evidence, all the stereotypical information, and also to pretty up their case to find a conviction. The point I'm making, the criminal justice system is corrupt, and it's still corrupt today. I will try to include the link for the Guardian newspaper in this video so that you can take it upon yourself to do your research to see whether I'm talking a lot of rubbish or whether this is actually factual information. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. And as I said, I intend to make part 2 of this video very, very soon. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.